Hey, it's Zane. Welcome back. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Today I want to talk about the coming retirement crisis and how Bitcoin can save you. And it's really an interesting topic because there's more and more people who are thankfully waking up to the fact that they don't have enough in retirement in their superannuation accounts, and they're realizing that if they stay on this path, that in the next 10, 12, 15 years, there's going to be an enormous opportunity cost in doing that. And it's better to realize that now rather than try to do something about it, when it's too late. And sadly, most people do not pay attention to their retirement accounts, to their superannuation, until it is way too late. And we live in a time now where we have to be very proactive in terms of planning for our retirement, unless you want to be happy working into your 70s or until the day you die, because most people are going to be stuck in that position. When you have inflation running at not 3 or 4% like they tell you, you have to get that completely out of your head. Number one, they manipulate the basket of goods that they base inflation calculations on. Case in point, housing is not included in the assessment for inflation. You've got to ask yourself why that is, when housing is a basic human need, shelter, and yet it's not included. Why isn't it included? Because if it was included, real inflation would be running at 20-30% instead of the 3 or 4% bullshit lies that they tell you. We don't care about the price of eggs going up 20 or 30 cents in 12 months. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, we wish that wasn't the case. But at the end of the day, that's not the real issue. The real issue is that the price of housing is out of control. There's a growing wealth gap. There's an entire new emerging generation who has been sold out. There's no way they can live the great Australian dream. People's retirement accounts are being crushed due to inflation because the performance of those retirement accounts is not even close to keeping their head above water. And so I want to talk about this because, I talk with people every single week on my one-on-one Zoom calls. People book sessions with me, and typically they have a 10 to 12 to 15 year time horizon until they'd like to retire, and they don't want to be working into their 70s. And they're smart enough to realize that there is an opportunity for them to take control of their retirement before it's too late. And obviously the life raft, the opt-out opportunity, is Bitcoin. And I want to explain to you what the opportunity cost is if you choose not to get on the Bitcoin life raft and you choose to keep all of your retirement accounts, or for that matter any assets, in portfolios or in assets that are performing at 7-8%, which is very, very normal and what we've become accustomed to. The problem is we don't live in a normal environment now. We live in an inflationary environment where governments and central banks are working together to continue to debase the currency. And what that means is that they continue to dilute the value of your savings. The way they do that is through money printing. And this is not going to stop. This is how they demonetize all of the debt in the system. This is how they keep asset prices inflated. If they didn't increase the money supply, the truth of the Ponzi scheme, that is fiat currency, would come out, and there would be a revolution in the streets. People's house prices would plummet. People wouldn't be able to function. We would have a serious social crisis on our hands, and they cannot have that. And so what we have now is a situation where, with all of the debt that's in the system, the only way out is to keep printing currency. Unfortunately, when they do that, they are basically destroying the purchasing power of savers. So if you have money sitting in a retirement account or any asset class that is only doing 7 or 8%, unfortunately, you're selling out your financial future through no fault of your own, but just the very fact that you're being passive rather than proactive, you're selling out your financial future. So you have to be paying attention to this right now. And, you know, I talk about this every day with people, and thankfully, people are waking up for themselves and they're just coming to me for guidance. They want to know the simple next best steps to get on their journey, where to buy Bitcoin in the most frictionless way in this country, learn a little about self-custody, why that's important, different strategies for privacy, succession planning, etc. around Bitcoin for those who are allocating to Bitcoin in a significant way. And so these are the conversations I have with people pretty much every single day. So if you'd like to book a call with me, don't hesitate, just do it. You'll get tremendous value from it. You'll save yourself umpteen hours of trying to figure it all out for yourself, and I'll put you on a simple path. I'll take what's complex, make it simple so that you know the simple next best steps for you based on your goals, where you're currently at, and what you need to do next. So you'll see a link in the show notes if you're interested in doing that, and I'd love to meet you on Zoom. So, the coming retirement crisis and how Bitcoin can save you. Now, this is the problem that no one wants to talk about. The problem with superannuation and anything that you're saving for retirement is that it is typically such a long-term proposition that it is on a day-to-day basis and a week-to-week basis, monthly, yearly, it is essentially out of sight and out of mind. And anything that is constantly out of sight is going to be out of mind. And so if you're going through your life just trying to make ends meet, just trying to get through to the next pay cycle, end of the month with your business, if you're a sales agent or something, looking forward to the next commission, you're not really thinking too far ahead other than just what you need in order to keep functioning, to keep the lights on and to keep the wheels turning. And I know what that's like. You know, I've raised 3 kids. Thankfully, they're out of the nest now. But I know what it's like to hustle and hustle and hustle. And, you know, every day you just got your head down and you're just doing what you can to keep the wheels turning. And but you get to a point where you realize that there's a better way. There's a better way. And thankfully, in October 2008, on the back of the global financial crisis, humanity was given a gift. A gift in the form of a decentralized, incorruptible form of money. And of course, this is what Bitcoin is. And for many years, people have been ignoring it. They've been, predicting and forecasting its demise. They've thrown darts at it, you know, having done no study on it or homework on it at all for themselves to kind of figure out what this thing is. You get mixed messages from the media and your best mate at the pub. And so people's mindsets are full of so many different narratives and mixed messages, they don't have clarity. And when you don't have clarity, you don't have confidence, and of course it's very difficult to move forward when you keep listening to all of this noise, rather than just tuning into the fundamentals of something that is a paradigm shift from everything that we're used to that can actually save you. But you have to do the work on it. You have to spend some time reading a couple of books, listening to some long-form podcasts, and you have to be willing to self-educate. And that means you being responsible for you. Don't worry about what your mother, your brother, your sister, your best friend is doing or what they're saying on the Today Show. Just trust yourself enough to do the work yourself and then make your own judgment, your own informed decisions from a position of education. And this is why I created my Bitcoin Success Circle community, which people are joining all the time. And we've got people from all around Australia who are a part of this now, and they're getting tremendous value from it, from being connected with a group of like-minded people who are all on a similar path, because it's very difficult to do Bitcoin, this transformational journey that we're all on. It's very difficult to do it in isolation. And this is why I created this community, and it's thriving. People are getting tremendous value from it. We're in the middle of our 6-week live training at the moment. Hit me up if you want to know more about it. But the point is that you've got to educate yourself, and you have to be the one willing to take the bull by the horns to do that. The problem that no one wants to face is that their superannuation is not enough. It's not enough. We know that in this country, and this is not me, go to the Australian Superannuation Fund Association website, ASFA, and you will find this for yourself, that the average balance for retirees, people on the cusp of retirement in this country, is somewhere between 300,000 to 400,000, depending on whether they're female or male. Ladies, typically it's around 300, and men, typically it's closer to 400,000. That's the average for most Australians that they can look forward to when they get into their early to mid 60s, when they're about to retire. Now, when you're in an inflationary environment where true inflation, real inflation, is not running at 3 or 4%, it's running at somewhere between 13 and 15%, due to the expansion of the money supply, which alone is running at, somewhere between 10 and 12. This is how much currency they're printing and putting into circulation to fund all of their spending programs and all their promises that they make at election time. Where do you think all that money goes? It finds its way into assets. This is why we've had an insane housing boom over the past 5 years when the economy has been struggling. Why is it during the lockdown era, why is it that when businesses were shut down and couldn't function and people couldn't go to work, why is it that we had one of the greatest property booms that we've ever seen? It certainly wasn't based on fundamentals. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to work that out. It was purely due to the fact that they pumped the system with liquidity under the guise of, you need us to prop you up due to this crisis, we're going to take care of you. But what did they really do? They just drove inflation to levels we've never seen before, and look at the devastation that it's causing right now. Inflation is the most evil, incessant form of taxation that the world has ever known, and this is why people like a great economist from the 70s, Milton Friedman, who was a free market advocate, won a Nobel Prize. He used to say that inflation, in other words money printing, is taxation without legislation. Inflation is taxation that you didn't vote for. There's no legislation around it. Inflation is taxation without legislation. And so they don't need to increase your taxes from 25, 30, 40 cents in the dollar to 70 or 80 cents in the dollar, which is what it really is when you factor all of this in, inflation. So essentially you're spending 80% of your working week, working month, working year, essentially working for the government. That's how the system runs. This is why you're working harder for less. So all of this is a problem now. We never had to worry about this before, but now this is happening in accelerated form since 2020. Really started on the back of the global financial crisis. Things went into overdrive then, but now it's the overdrive times 10 since the great health crisis, the so-called health crisis of 2020 and beyond. And so you can't sit there and say to yourself, well, things are going to be okay. Things are getting back to normal. They're not getting back to normal. This situation we're faced with it's not going to stop. It's only going to actually get worse. And so if you're sitting there in your 40s, 50s, late 50s, early 60s even, and you're thinking to yourself, holy shit, I might not have enough to sustain me comfortably for the rest of my life. I don't want to be working until I'm in my 70s or 80s. What are you going to do about it? Because if you leave your capital in assets in superannuation performing at 7 or 8%, which is what it's doing, again, go to the ASFA website, you'll see it for yourself. You don't even need to do that. Just go to your industry super fund, get a report, and get an annualized return from your fund or from your financial planner or whoever it is that manages your super, and you'll see it for yourself. It's not a secret. This is readily available data. And the problem is that when you compare it to Bitcoin, it's about 7 or 8 times less than what you could be doing. And so the opportunity cost associated with that is such that for every $100,000 that you have in anything, be it super or be it real estate or be it share portfolios, bonds, whatever, at 8%, guess what? In 10 years' time, that 100,000 is only going to double, just over. But if that $100,000 is sitting in an emerging, fixed, finite, decentralized asset where there is global adoption and demand yet to come, right? Just think back to the internet 1999. This is where we are with Bitcoin. It's a revolutionary transformational monetary protocol that is repricing everything in the legacy system because it's designed to do that. And so the thing to realize is that the $100,000 that you've got in an underperforming industry super fund at 8%, because that is underperforming in this environment that we're in now. It wasn't always, but that's how it is now. That 100K sitting in Bitcoin, if Bitcoin does anything like what it's been doing for the last 5 to 10 years, which is up around 60% plus, right? Let's call it 50%. If it just does 50% over the next 10 years, that $100,000 is around about $5.7 million. Okay, so 200,000 in super at 8% or 5.7 million in Bitcoin at 50%. If historical data is anything to go by, there's no guarantee that it is, but if historical data is anything to go by, there you have it. So the opportunity cost of leaving it in something doing 8% as opposed to moving it into Bitcoin doing 50% is about $5.5 million. That's the cost of doing nothing. And so people are waking up to this now. And it's really important to do that because it doesn't take a lot to make the shift, to rotate the capital. You just have to be willing to do a bit of learning and build your clarity and confidence around this and then to take action on it. So, with super and with assets in the legacy system, there are structural threats around it. We saw with superannuation, we saw earlier this year, there was cyber attacks on a couple of major funds. We saw just in the last couple of months, there was a major industry super fund went down that took with it about 12,000 Australian retirement accounts with it, never to be retrieved. And this is a problem because, you put your money into these funds trusting that everything's going to be okay. You just blindly trust that everything's going to be okay. And so you've just got to use your intuition. You've got to be proactive. You've got to ask yourself whether this is how you want things to be. You can do nothing. That's cool. All I'm trying to do is to let you know that there is an opt-out. There is an option for you to do something that is far more proactive for your retirement. And in my opinion, that is Bitcoin. It's not financial advice. It's just what I believe in and what I'm doing and what hordes of other people are doing now, not through anything that I'm saying, but they're waking up to it for themselves and they're coming to people like me, not just me, other people, and they're saying, please show me how to do this right. And that's what I'm doing. So I think I'm going to leave it there today. Bitcoin is the life raft. You know, it's no longer enough to have your capital stored in anything that is only doing 8, 9, 10%, because that is not even close to keeping up with real inflation, which is what we refer to as the hurdle rate. And the hurdle rate is running at more like 15%. And so you have to be paying really close attention to your assets right now if you care about the quality of your life in retirement, if you don't want to be dependent on the government, if you don't want to be a burden on your kids, right? If all of these things are important to you, there's never been a more important time for you to be paying attention to this stuff. It's up to you. I can only lead you to water. You've got to drink the water. So if you'd like to book a call with me, click a link in the show notes, and I'd love to meet you on Zoom, talk you through this, answer any questions that you have, and set you on the right path. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you being here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Less than 50% of you who watch my videos on a regular basis are still not yet subscribed. So great way to support what I'm doing, to support the channel, is to hit the subscribe button. You'll be alerted when my newest videos drop. Other than that, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you being here, and I hope you got some value from today's video. This is Zane signing out. Have a great day. Bye for now.